My name is Linda Magana Bowman. I am a feminist human rights and gender activist. I'm also associated to an organization called Namibia Diverse Women's Association. As we live in this country, Namibia, there has been a spiral of conversations unpacking the status of homosexuality, the status of sodomy in the country, and also the status of same-sex marriage. And those critical areas are important to unpack in a context on the basis that we are able to understand that it's not illegal to be a homosexual in Namibia. There's no statute in the country that criminalizes it. So that's off the point of conversation. The second status around the status of sodomy clearly indicates that the practice of sodomy in this country is criminalized. And that initially says that that's a statute that wasn't even birthed by any Namibian leadership or democratic space. It's an inherited law that needs to be challenged and most definitely needs to be repealed from this country. And we've seen developments in this country where the Law Reform Commission, a Development Commission, even developed a report around the absolute laws and getting rid of this sodomy law. So that's not even a point of interaction. But many of us as Namibians are troubled about the bedroom issues of lesbian, bisexual, transgender, and intersex people, whilst we all are entitled to that beautiful article of Article 13. And the last part around the status of same-sex marriage. We know that there is no statute in this country that actually criminalizes or advances same-sex marriage. The unfortunate private members bill is just a determinant of dialogue when it comes to same-sex marriage, as if the judgments that have been proclaimed in the Supreme Court are elevating that same-sex marriage is legal in this country, which is not the case. So the time has come for us to have a national dialogue with the current leadership, for us to be able to make sure that the lives of LGBT people within their family homes, society, is constantly protected, but also that service delivery and attainment within their lives are advanced. So from me, as Linda Bowman, the time has come for us to now demystify the notions of homophobia, biphobia, and transphobia, and to deal with personal prejudice so that we can overcome the levels of discrimination and ensure equality and justice for all is attained within this beautiful country of ours, Namibia.
The amount of killings that have increased of trans bodies, particularly women of color, over the last 2 to 3 months has been extremely worrisome. The increased levels of harassment, verbal abuse, and the shrinking of safe spaces, especially again for trans and gender diverse persons in Namibia, is becoming alarming. At this point, it is a huge ask to our political leadership to stand up, be accountable, and perhaps know that the words they use, particularly in their spaces of leadership, are causing harm and are increasing the level of violence within the country. It is also an important time for our leadership to stand up and caution our communities from perpetuating violence towards other citizens, that we are all citizens of this country and that we all need protection. It is an essential time for our government to put in place policy and regulation that prohibits hate speech and violence against persons because of who they are and how they identify.
I think that it doesn't take for us to agree with a person in order to understand that violence should not be condoned towards anyone. I think it's basic humanity when we see that there's a threat on people's lives to understand that all of us have to do something, because a chain is only as strong as its weakest link. So ultimately, my call to action is this, that we need to really access our empathy, really access our compassion, and most importantly, our humanity, and that we need to be united in holding ourselves accountable, holding each other accountable, holding the state accountable, and all of the spaces that all of where all of us are in, to make sure that every single life, number one, matters and is protected, is safe, that every single person is dignified as a Namibian. And right now, the threat is towards LGBTQ plus people, and those are the lives right now that I feel matter, and we really need to place a greater focus and emphasis on that.
So, the issue of violence in this country has really escalated in the past several months, especially since last year of November. And for me, basically, I feel like besides just our politicians, our leaders have to do more in terms of protecting its people. And I want our youth, especially the youth, to get out there, go register to vote, and make sure you vote for the people that you can depend on. Because there is a lot of issues that are happening currently in the country, but the most focused one is the rise of violence in this country. So yeah, for me, it's just our president also needs to give more and do more.
Namibia, we're hurting. If we don't realize this yet, I don't know where we're living, I don't know what we're reading, I don't know who we're engaging with. We are being hunted down, not just through physical action, but also through the intention of lawmaking and policy making. We need to do better. The call for action that I have for us all is that we need to be intentional in our redress. We need to be intentional about keeping each other safe. We need to be intentional about loving diversity, acknowledging diversity, celebrating diversity. We are Namibia, land of the brave. We need to start being brave and intentional with our responses.